and welcome back to the last stave of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. We are going to read the full stave in one sitting, and this is because this is the final stave. This is the end of it, as the stave is actually called. So this is the time where I tell you, snuggle up with a blanket, a loved one, sit back with a nice hot beverage of your choosing, and enjoy the last reading of A Christmas Carol. This is the part of the video where I tell you to jump ahead to what I have written down here. If you do not want to stick around for the facts and opinions portion of the video, and you just want to hear the story. So otherwise, if you are a visual person, is when I pick this book back up again. However, I have been saying that, and yet I have been picking the book back up while I've been talking, just as a form of gesture. So for the final time, this is a reading of A Christmas Carol in prose, this being A Ghost Story of Christmas by Charles Dickens, with 4 illustrations in color and 4 woodcuts by John Leech, a facsimile of the original edition with an introduction by J.K. Chesterton and a preface by B.W. Matz, London, Cecil Palmer, Oakley House, Bloomsbury Street, WC1. I have been mentioning that this facsimile has an introduction and a preface by 2 gentlemen, G.K. Chesterton and B.W. Matz. I think this entire time I've been saying J.K. Chesterton, so my apologies, is G.K. Chesterton. But I have not read them. I may do a follow-up video later on of the preface and the introduction to A Christmas Carol by those 2 gents. If you are interested in that, please feel free to leave me a note in the comments. However, I kind of just like it being the story. I might end off this last video with a little bit of rambling, so I do apologize if you're not up for rambling. But we're going to just end off with a little bit of my thoughts and opinions about A Christmas Carol, as well as maybe a couple of fast facts that I didn't really cover in any of the videos that I posted of the staves. So a couple of fast facts about A Christmas Carol. These are on arts.gov, which is the National Endowment for the Arts. So I mentioned before that Charles Dickens wrote a number of Christmas stories and novellia. We also mentioned that he wrote it in a very, very short time frame. The full time frame for the writing of A Christmas Carol was just 6 weeks. And at the time of writing, he was under financial pressure to do so because his last book was a failure. Reportedly, Dickens also wrote the story A Christmas Carol while taking lawn walks by the River Thames at nighttime. So I just kind of get an idea that he probably just like walked a lawn in the middle of the night, in the cold London air, and sat on a bench and started to write. Christmas Carol was first published on December 19th, 1843. The first edition of this book actually sold out by Christmas Eve. Completely. So not only did he write it only within 6 weeks, and it was published in December during the Christmas season, it was sold out by Christmas Eve, and by 1844, the novella had gone through 13 printings and continues to this day to be a very robust seller for more than 175 years. But though it was a runaway bestseller, he actually didn't make very much money from A Christmas Carol, and this was because he was very fastidious about the production of the book. So it has gold leafing on the sides, it has gold leafing on the cover, It is an embossed cover. The cover itself of the original edition was a leather a green leather cover with red and blue, both on the edges, as well as gold leafing on the edges and gold leafing around this embossed portion here, as well as a marbleized inner cover and colored images and woodcuts, such as this one here, on the inside of the book. So it was actually quite an expensive book to make, and therefore the making of the book, and because he was so adamant that it be made this specific way, being a work of art in and of itself, and being more inclined to an audience that would want something very much Christmassy, because we all know that the Victorians were responsible for why Christmas is so commercialized now. Because he was so adamant about the way it looked, it cut into his profits from actually making money off the book when it was first sold. So upon publishing the first edition of A Christmas Carol, Dickens had his 66-page, heavily revised, handwritten manuscript bound in crimson leather and decorated in gilt before gifting it to his friend and creditor Thomas Mitten, whose name was also inscribed on the cover in gilt, aka this golden embossed lettering here. You can see a digital copy of the manuscript in the Morgan Library and Museum. It is also on their website, so I will it will be in the description box below. I'm just not sure that I will probably have to go back and edit to put in the hyperlink. There are more than 200 movie adaptations of A Christmas Carol, and there are more than 20 TV shows that have used this prose as fodder, basically, for episodes, including Sanford and Son, The $6 Million Man, Family Ties, Suit Life on Deck, The Jetsons, and I think we also had an episode of DuckTales. There are 2 ballet and 4 operas of A Christmas Carol, including The Passion of Scrooge, a chamber opera for 1 baritone and a chamber orchestra. So this is literally just one person on stage with a small orchestra playing. While it was a very popular success, even to this day, many of Charles Dickens' peers of authors at the time, including Mark Twain, read the book, and some of them liked it, but Mark Twain is notably not a fan. Dickens was credited as the first writer to do reading tours of his work, and when he read it to an American audience during his second visit to the US, Twain's review of the now iconic book: "There's no heart, no feeling, it's nothing but glittering frostwork." Quote unquote. That's how Mark Twain felt. So whether you could chalk that up to jealousy or whether you could chalk that up to how he actually felt about the book is up to your discretion. I'm going to probably say that he didn't like how popular it was for the time, and how, as I said, like, this is very much a product of its time, not what we glorify it out to be as today. Earliest stage adaptation was adapted for the London stage just 6 weeks after its first publication. So only 6 weeks, and then it was on stage because it was such a roaring success. So the last thing that I will leave you with of mentioning for A Christmas Carol, Scrooge was based on a real person. He was based on a man named John Elwes, or John Megott, or Megott, who was a member of Parliament and known for being extremely frugal. Dickens also made reference to Elwes in Bleak House in 1853, along with another notable 18th century miser, Daniel Dancer, and his 1865 novel, Our Mutual Friend. Elwes was also believed to inspire William Harrison Ainsworth to create the character of John Scarf in his 1842 novel, The Miser's Daughter. Yeah, so this guy was very well known and not very well liked. It is said that basically everyone who knew of him as an MP was sort of against him. The greatest influence on Elwes' life was his miserly uncle, Sir Harvey Elwes, 2nd Baronet of Stoke College, and MP for Sudbury. He imitated this man to gain his favor of his uncle. The two of them have often been noted to have spent evenings railing against other people's extravagances while they shared a single glass of wine. In 1751, in order to inherit his uncle's estate, John changed his name from Megget to Elwes, and Sir Harvey, the uncle, died on the 18th of September in 1763, bequeathing his entire fortune to his nephew. The net worth of the estate is more than £250,000, equivalent to £46,300,000 in today's money, in 2023's money, I should say, so not even in today's money. And that figure continued to grow despite Elwes' inept handling of his finances. So there you go. Scrooge was real, effectively, and as was a couple of other characters in the book. So we do know that one of the most popular books that Charles Dickens ever wrote, David Copperfield, was also inspired by real people, and that he was not shy about making political opinions known. So potentially this is a little bit of a snub to Parliament at the time. So regardless on if you like this type of video or not, for me personally, A Christmas Carol is a staple in our house. It is not Christmas without some form of this story somewhere depicted or watched or read or written down somewhere in the house. And I feel like that's not only because my wife and I were both raised with A Christmas Carol being a staple. It's also more to do with the community and the family that comes with the themes of the book. So, I mean, not only is it bringing in the spirit of Christmas, quite literally, in the form of three spirits visiting you, but I would love to know what you guys think of A Christmas Carol, what you guys thought of my reading of A Christmas Carol. What you think of this type of video in general, and what you guys think of me doing readings like this with a history section or a opinion section or a what could be a possibility for inspiration section ahead of the video. So if you like this kind of content, please put it in the description, in the comment section, and let me know, because that will help me generate and gauge more content for you. If there's a book you would like me to read, or if there is something else you would like me to read for next year, please feel free to put that in the comments as well. Feel free to tell me that, oh, you're rubbish at doing voices. But don't be too mean. I am a sensitive little duck, and I rather much like my voices, that, or at least the voices that I've chosen for some of the characters. Some of them are annoying, I do agree. But what was your thoughts of A Christmas Carol, did you know that, some of those facts that I have maybe given you over the course of these couple of staves, did you appreciate them? Like, let me know how you appreciate this video and these videos I've been making for you over the course of December. But without any further ado, let's read the last stave of A Christmas Carol. Stave 5, the end of it. And of course, I will be rereading a little bit to catch us back up, just in case you are just tuning in. In his agony, he caught the spectral hand. It sought to free itself, but he was strong in his entreaty and detained it. The spirit, stronger yet, repulsed him. Holding up his hands in one last prayer to have his fate reversed, he saw an alteration in the phantom's hood and dress. It shrunk, collapsed, and dwindled down into a bedpost. Stave 5, the end of it. Yes! And the bed was his own. The bed was his own, the room was his own. Best and happiest of all, the time before him was his own to make amends in. I will live in the past, the present, and the future, Scrooge repeated as he scrambled out of bed. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. Oh, Jacob Marley, heaven and the Christmas time be praised for this. I say it on my knees, old Jacob, on my knees. He was so fluttered and so glowing with his good intentions that his broken voice could scarcely answer his call. He had been sobbing violently in his conflict with the spirit, and his face was wet with tears. They are not torn down, cried Scrooge, folding one of his bed curtains in his arms. They are not torn down, rings and all. They are here, and I'm here. The shadows of the things that would have been may be dispelled. They will be. I know they will. His hands were busy with his garments all this time, turning them inside out, putting them on upside down, tearing them, mislaying them, making them parties to every kind of extravagance. I don't know what to do, cried Scrooge, laughing and crying in the same breath, and making a perfect Laocoon of himself with his stockings. I'm as light as a feather. I'm as happy as an angel. I'm as merry as a schoolboy. I'm as giddy as a drunken man. A Merry Christmas to everybody, and a Happy New Year to all the world. Hello here! Hello! He had frisked into the sitting room and was now standing there, perfectly winded. There's the saucepan that the gruel was in, cried Scrooge, starting off again and going round the fireplace. There's the door by which the ghost of Jacob Marley entered. There's the corner where the ghost of Christmas present sat. There's the window where I saw the wandering spirits. It's all right. It's all true. It all happened. Really, for a man who had been out of practice for so many years, it was a splendid laugh, a most illustrious laugh. The father of a long, long line of brilliant laughs. I don't know what day of the month it is, said Scrooge. I don't know how long I've been among the spirits. I don't know anything. I'm quite a baby. Never mind. I don't care. I'd rather be a baby. Hello! Hello here! He was checked in his transports by the churches, ringing out the lustiest peals he had ever heard. Clash, clang, hammer, ding, dawn, bell. Bell, dawn, ding, hammer, clang, clash. Oh, glorious, glorious! Running to the window, he opened it and put out his head. No fog, no mist, clear, bright, jovial, stirring, cold, cold, piping for the blood to dance to. Golden sunlight, heavenly sky, sweet, fresh air, merry bells. Oh, glorious, glorious! What's today? Cried Scrooge, calling downward to a boy in Sunday clothes who perhaps had loitered in to look about him. Aye, returned the boy with all of his might and wonder. What's today, my fine fellow? Said Scrooge. Today? replied the boy.
Why, today's Christmas Day.
It's Christmas Day, said Scrooge to himself. I haven't missed it. The spirits have done it all in one night. They can do anything they like. Of course they can. Of course they can. Hello, my fine fellow.
Hello,
returned the boy. Do you know the poulterers in the next street but one at the corner? Scrooge inquired.
I should hope I did,
replied the lad. An intelligent boy, said Scrooge. A remarkable boy. Do you know whether they've sold the prize turkey that was hanging up there? Not the little prize turkey, the big one.
What, the one as big as me?
returned the boy. What a delightful boy, said Scrooge. It's a pleasure to talk to him. Yes, my buck.
It's hanging up there now,
replied the boy. Is it? said Scrooge. Go and buy it.
Walker!
exclaimed the boy. No, said Scrooge. I'm in earnest. Go and buy it and tell them to bring it here that I may give them direction where to take it. Come back with the man and I'll give you a shilling. Come back with him in less than 5 minutes and I'll give you half a crown. The boy was off like a shot. He must have had a steady hand at a trigger who could have got a shot off half so fast. I'll send it to Bob Cratchit's, whispered Scrooge, rubbing his hands and splitting with a laugh. He shan't know who sends it. It's twice the size of Tiny Tim. Joe Miller never made so much a joke as sending it to Bob's will be. The hand in which he wrote the address was not a steady one, but write it he did somehow, and went down the stairs to open the street door, ready for the coming of the poulterer's man. As he stood there waiting his arrival, the knocker caught his eye. I shall love it as long as I live, cried Scrooge, patting it with his hand. I scarcely ever looked at it before. What an honest expression it has in its face. It's a wonderful knocker. Here's the turkey. Hello! Woo! How are you? Merry Christmas! It was a turkey. He never could have stood upon his legs, that bird. He would have snapped him short off in a minute, like sticks of sealing wax. Why, it's impossible to carry that to Camden Town, said Scrooge. You must have a cap. The chuckle with which he said this, and the chuckle with which he paid for the turkey, and the chuckle with which he paid for the cab, and the chuckle with which he recompensed the boy were only to be exceeded by the chuckle with which he sat down breathless in his chair again, and chuckled till he cried. Shaving was not an easy task, for his hand continued to shake very much, and shaving requires attention, even when you don't dance while you are at it. But if he had cut the end of his nose off, he would have put a piece of sticking plaster over it, and been quite satisfied. He dressed himself, all in his best, and at last got out into the streets. When people were by this time pouring forth, as he had seen them with the ghost of Christmas present and walking with his hands behind him, Scrooge regarded everyone with a delighted smile. He looked so irresistibly pleasant, in a word, that 3 or 4 good-humoured fellows said, "Good morning, sir, and a Merry Christmas to you." And Scrooge said often afterwards that of all the blithe sounds he had ever heard, those were the blithest in his ears. He had not gone far when, coming towards him, he beheld the portly gentleman who had walked into his counting-house the day before and said, "Scrooge and Marley's, I believe." It sent a pain across his heart to think how this old gentleman would look upon him when they met. But he knew what path lay straight before him, and he took it. "My dear sir," said Scrooge, quickening his pace and taking the old gentleman by both hands. "How do you do? I hope you succeeded yesterday. It was very kind of you. Merry Christmas to you, sir."
"Mr. Scrooge?"
"Yes," said Scrooge. "That is my name, and I fear it may not be pleasant to you. Allow me to ask your pardon, and will you have the goodness—" Here Scrooge whispered in his ear.
"Lord bless me!"
cried the gentleman, as if his breath were gone.
"My dear Mr. Scrooge, are you serious?"
"If you please," said Scrooge. "Not a farthing less. A great many back payments are included in it, I assure you." Will you do me that favor?
My dear sir,
said the other, shaking hands with him.
I don't know what to say to such a magnificent...
Don't say anything, please, retorted Scrooge. Come and see me. Will you come and see me?
I will,
cried the old gentleman, and it was clear he meant to do it. Thank ye, said Scrooge. I'm much obliged to you. I thank you 50 times. Bless you. He went to church and walked about the streets and watched the people hurrying to and fro, and patted children on the head and questioned beggars, and looked down into the kitchens of houses and up into the windows, and found that everything could yield him pleasure. He had never dreamed that any walk, that anything could give him so much happiness. In the afternoon he turned his steps towards his nephew's house. He passed the door a dozen times before he had the courage to go up and knock, but he made a dash and did it. Is your master home, my dear? Said Scrooge to the girl. Nice girl, very.
Yes, sir.
Where is he, my love? Said Scrooge.
He's in the dining room, sir, along with the mistress. I'll show you upstairs, if you please.
Thank you. He knows me, said Scrooge, with his hands already on the dining-room lock. I'll go in here, my dear. He turned it gently and sidled his face in round the door. They were looking at the table, which was spread out in great array, for these young housekeepers are always nervous on such points, and like to see that everything is right. Fred! Said Scrooge. Dear heart alive, how his niece by marriage started. Scrooge had forgotten for the moment about her sitting in the corner with the footstool, or he wouldn't have done it on any account. Why, bless my soul, cried Fred. Who's that? It's I, your Uncle Scrooge. I've come to dinner. Will you let me in, Fred? Let him in? It is a mercy he didn't shake his arm off. He was at home in 5 minutes. Nothing could be hard here. His niece looked just the same. So did Topper when he came. So did the plump sister when she came. So did everyone when they came. Wonderful party, wonderful games, wonderful unanimity, wonderful happiness. But he was early at the office next morning. Oh, he was early there. If he could only be there first and catch Bob Cratchit coming late. That was the thing he had set his heart upon. And he did it. Yes, he did it. The clock struck 9. No Bob. 1:15. No Bob. He was full 18 minutes and a half behind his time. Scrooge sat with his door wide open that he might see him come into the tank. His hat was off before he opened the door. His comforter, too. He was on his stool in a jiffy, driving away with his pen as if he were trying to overtake 9 o'clock. Hello, growled Scrooge in his custom voice, as near he could feign it. What do you mean by coming in here at this time of day? I'm very sorry, sir, said Bob. I am behind my time. You are? Repeated Scrooge. Yes, I think you are. Step this way, if you please. It's only once a year, sir, pleaded Bob, appearing from the tank. It shall not be repeated. I was making rather merry yesterday, sir. Now I tell you what, my friend, said Scrooge. I am not going to stand for this sort of thing any longer. And therefore, he continued, leaping from his stool and giving Bob such a dig in the waistcoat that he staggered back into the tank again. And therefore I am about to raise your salary! Bob trembled and got a little nearer to the ruler. He had momentary idea of knocking Scrooge down with it, holding him and calling to the people in the court for help, and a straight waistcoat. "Merry Christmas, Bob," said Scrooge with an earnestness that could not be mistaken as he clapped him on the back. "A merrier Christmas, Bob, my good fellow, than I have given you for many a year. I'll raise your salary and endeavor to assist your struggling family, and we will discuss your affairs this very afternoon over a Christmas bowl of smoking Bishop, Bob. Make up the fires and buy another coal scuttle before you dot another I, Bob Cratchit." Scrooge was better than his word. He did all and infinitely more, and to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew, or any other good old city, town, or borough in the good old world. Some people laughed to see the alteration in him, but he let them laugh, and little heeded them, for he was wise enough to know that nothing ever happened on this globe for good, at which some people did not have their fill of laughter in the outset. And knowing that such as these would be blind anyway, he thought it quite well that they should wrinkle up their eyes in grins, as have the malady in less attractive forms. His own heart laughed, and that was quite enough for him. He had no further intercourse with spirits, but lived in the total abstinence principle ever afterwards. And it was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well, if any man alive possessed the knowledge. May that truly be said of us, and all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed,
God bless us, everyone.
The end. And there's the final image. Happy holidays. He had frisked into the sitting room and was now sitting... He had frisked into the sitting room and was now standing there perfectly winded. There's the saucepan that the girl was in. Oh, fuck.
Fuck is he?
I can't do Happy Scrooge. I can't. Can we go back to Pissed Off Scrooge? I was better at that one.
Right.
I can't.
Oh, Jesus.
It's there. I'm reading it. I swear, this is what it says. First Layaquan, now whoop. And now it's frisked.
Frisked.
What's today? Cried Scrooge, calling down. No, I had it right the first time. It's Christmas Day, said Scrooge to himself. I haven't missed it. The spirits have done it all in one night. They can do anything they like. Of course they can. Of course they can. Hello, my fine fellow.
Hello?
Probably not a question.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Returned the boy. Do you know the Poulterers in the East Street? Fuck my life, why is Scrooge so weird? Yeah, no, like seriously, like did this man have a stroke? Like let's be real. Did Scrooge have an aneurysm or a stroke? Like why is he suddenly 180? Why are we saying woo? I'm not lying, okay? It says whoop right there. He turned it gently and sidled his face in round the door. They were looking at the table, which was spread out in great array, for these young housekeepers are always nervous on such points and like to see that everything is right. Hello. Fred, said Scrooge. For the purpose of bloopers, I want to act out this bit because it's actually quite hilarious. This is what I imagine is going on in this scene. Ready?
Mm.
So just envision that I am Scrooge approaching his nephew and his wife. Fred! No wonder why she was shocked. Do we have to mention this again? Oh my god, what is up with Charles Dickens? God, he got a thing for thick booty.
Apparently.
Oh, baby got back. Bottom girls, you make the rockin' world go round. Right? That plump sister, though. Mm-hmm. Let him in.